So I'm Analies, by the way. I'm Hydroviv's head of policy and perspectives. So we're going to be talking about endocrine disruptors today. We get a ton of questions on our customer support channels about these contaminants that impact how your body reacts or deals with hormones. So that is the plan for today. So I guess we're going to start with what are endocrine disruptors. You've probably heard of them. A lot of them are being used in cosmetic goods. So endocrine disruptors are a category of chemical compounds that mimic our body's natural hormones. So they can do this by either blocking the action of a naturally occurring hormone, or they can increase the reaction of a naturally occurring hormone. So it kind of is two different ways that endocrine disruptors can impact our hormones. They can be pharmaceuticals, just regular prescription pills that are either like being flushed down the toilet or even excreted in our urine. They can also be dioxins or dioxin-like compounds, also polychlorinated biphenyls and BPA phthalates. So last week or the week before, we did a really in-depth Instagram live about BPA and phthalates in drinking water. I would highly recommend watching that if you want to kind of get a deeper understanding of two of the most popular and widespread endocrine disruptors that are in the nation's water right now. So yeah, they can be pesticides, plasticizers like BPA, and then of course phthalates. So those are just kind of some of the more popular ones. The Environmental Working Group has like a big 10 of endocrine disruptors that are most frequently detected in drinking water across the country. So that's just another resource if you're curious. So why do we care about endocrine disruptors? I've kind of touched on it a little bit with just how they impact our body's natural hormones, but they can impact the reproductive system by affecting fertility and increasing developmental problems in children. So this is why there's kind of that big push with cosmetics to use products that don't contain things like phthalates or dioxins or whatever it might be, and the same should be going towards drinking water. They're also known to increase the risk of cancer and cause disturbances in the immune and nervous system function. So at this point, we don't really know what's considered to be like a safe level, because there are so many different variations, so many different types, and so many different chemicals that like fall under this category of endocrine disruptors. And if you've been following our Instagram lives for the past like almost year now, you know that EPA doesn't do a great job of regulating contaminants as quickly and efficiently and effectively as they should. So endocrine disruptors are kind of one of those contaminants that are largely unregulated, similar to PFAS and chromium-6 and a lot of other things that we've talked about on this channel. So research is still kind of being completed. There are a lot of studies going on, but for the most part, they're unregulated. And we would advise everyone to kind of take more of a cautious, proactive approach to dealing with endocrine disruptors, just because we don't know that much about them, and they're not regulated. So can tap water become contaminated with endocrine disruptors? Yes. And how does that happen? So as I kind of alluded to earlier, pharmaceuticals like hormonal birth control are actually designed to impact your endocrine system, and they get into the water supply when pills are like flushed down the toilet or even excreted in urine. And that kind of makes its way back to drinking water supplies. And water treatment facilities across the country don't really do a great job at removing them. They're only required to remove 90 contaminants across like a broad spectrum of different types. So endocrine disruptors typically slip through the cracks and largely go untreated by municipal treatment facilities. So in 2008, the USGS tested water in 9 states across the country and found that there were 85 man-made chemicals, including certain medications that were actually just completely slipping through treatment facilities and ending up in tap water. And those treatment facilities haven't really been updated in decades. Maybe they'll do like certain infrastructure improvements, but in terms of like adding the technology required to remove these contaminants, that's just typically not the case. It's really, really expensive to do at the municipal level, just like any other contaminant that we've talked about on these Instagram lives. So the Associated Press also found that there were trace amounts of over a dozen pharmaceuticals, including these endocrine disruptors, in the water supplies of 46 million Americans. So it is certainly widespread. That's something that we know. And so, yeah, taking that cautious approach is absolutely necessary. So how do I minimize exposure to endocrine disruptors? So because they can be in plastics and cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, things of that nature, try to opt for, glass containers or porcelain or stainless steel. Not microwaving plastic is, something that my mom always, maybe she didn't know why she was saying it, but that was always something that she tried to remind me of. And then also in terms of filtration, you want to make sure that your water filter is actually able to remove it. And so most or certain, big box brands just aren't able to do that. So you want to make sure that that you actually have a filter that's doing heavy lifting on removing these from your tap water. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If anyone has questions, as always, you can DM us on our Instagram. You can also send us an email at hello@hydroviv.com or go to hydroviv.com and we have a live chat. And we have a team of scientists standing by to answer any questions you have about endocrine disruptors or any other contaminants that could be in drinking water. So feel free to reach out. We love answering these types of questions. So yeah, I hope everyone has a really good Wednesday and we'll see you next week. Bye.